Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bedpost Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Erin Pym, and I'm the host and producer of the sex-positive Bedpost variety show that we run. It's a stage show we run here in Toronto twice a month. And here at the podcast, I have performers and presenters from my stage show and beyond come into the studio to have a more in-depth conversation about sex and sexuality with me. And this week, I have a really special guest returning to the podcast, sex writer Kate Sloan.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? I love you.
I love you too.
I follow you. I listen to you like crazy. You're also a podcaster of, quite honestly, my favorite podcast.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
Like legit, listening to it on the way here.
Oh, that's so cute.
Love it. Yeah, the Dildorks.
The Dildorks, yeah.
Yes. And
I still love our name. It just gives me great joy to say it.
You know what? And everyone I say that name to is like, great name.
Thank you. I hate when people think it's called the Dildo Dorks. I'm like, no, we're witty. Come on.
That's like, when we were young, I feel like we're around the same age. So Delicious. Do you remember these little soda gummy fruit snack things?
No.
And they were called Soda-licious.
Okay.
They were in the shape of soda and they taste like root beer and whatnot. And my mom would always call it Soda Delicious.
No.
She couldn't not. Soda Delicious. No.
Love a good portmanteau.
Yeah. Oh man, we have a bunch of fun things that we want to hit on.
So many things
with you. Yeah, I don't even know if we're gonna get through them. But one thing that the thing I might be most excited to talk to you about is hypno kink.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say that. Yeah, everybody wants to know about the hypno kink.
Yes, yeah. I listened to a podcast on it, and since then have just been like so wanting to have someone speak on it. I know you're not an expert, but I also know that you're somebody that really seeks out all the information possible before you do a thing and leading up to do a thing, and I'm sure during and after you do the thing as well. And you've been that's something that has come across you and your sex life in the past year or so, right?
It's actually only been a couple of months. I started dating someone new a couple months ago who told me after our first date that was his biggest kink. And I was like, yeah, his number one kink. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I've never met anyone who's into that, to my knowledge. So he actually, the first time he tranced me was actually an accident. He had sent me all these videos of him winking because I have a wink kink, which is a whole other thing. But I was watching these videos of him winking because I had lined them up in QuickTime so that they were all side by side and they were all looping. So it was just 4 winks in a row. Wink. And I was like, what can we do with this? This is such a weird thing. And he was like, we could use this for hypnosis. What if every time one of the guys winked, you went a little deeper into trance, and with each one of their eyes closing, you went a little deeper for me. And he started using his trancey voice, and we were on the phone, and I felt myself going into trance, which was a new feeling for me. So I was like, something's happening. And he recognized that was what was going on. Took me a little deeper into the trance.
Over the phone.
Yeah. It's a really cool thing for long distance relationships, actually, because you don't need to be physically together.
Wow.
Yeah. It's sometimes better to be physically together because you can read the person a little bit better. But especially if the person's really auditorily minded, you don't need it. I can just hear him talking in his trancy voice, and I get really
when he drops into that tone of a voice.
It's very good.
You just start to Wow.
Yeah. And it's really fun for DS because when someone gets you into trance, obviously you're not going to do anything that you wouldn't want to do, and you negotiate in advance what you want to do in the scene, but it's an intense form of DS because they're controlling you from inside your own brain, kind of.
They're controlling your mind.
Yeah.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the whole thing with just being hypnotized in any context kind of you can only be hypnotized if you want to be hypnotized?
Yeah, exactly. It's true? The way it's been explained to me, trance is an intense state of concentration. And so you can only really enter into it if you want to. I mean, some people are more susceptible than others, but if you're resisting it, then it won't work.
You just won't, no matter what. So there's no weird consent-y stuff. It's just fun stuff that you are fully there and signed up for and like ready to be hypnotized.
And you talk about it beforehand, like any kink scene. Like you talk about what you do and don't want to feel. And like my partner asked me about like my mental health conditions to know if there was anything that he should avoid. And yeah, it's really interesting.
So what does one do? Okay, so he gets you into the hypnotic kind of trance.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can play with like intensifying sensations. You can make someone more sensitive. You can make it so that like a non-sexual part of their body feels sexualized. One we did that was really fun for me was I get really shy about dirty talk, which is hard because like most of our relationship is like phone sex stuff. So he like took away my verbal filter. He was just like, your subconscious is just going to push out all the filthy shit that you're thinking. And I talked for like 40 minutes about all this like fantasy stuff that I was thinking about him. And he was really surprised because I don't usually say very much. I'm very shy.
Wow.
So.
Okay. So what are you feeling in the trance? Are you there? Are you kind of where are you at? Can you remember what happened?
Yeah. I can almost always remember what happens. Like there are ways that they can like induce what's called hypnotic amnesia, which is where you forget. And that's like, it's consensual when you do that. Like it's for fun. But I usually can remember what happened. And it's kind of this like warm, relaxing feeling. It sort of reminds me of like being very sleepy or like being in subspace a little bit. Or even like being kind of high or drunk. Like everything's just like sort of slowed down and it's like very relaxing. And it's actually like a state that I crave now when I haven't had it in a while, like the same way I would crave like sexy things, which is really interesting.
Interesting. So it's a sort of a high, just being hypnotized, let alone adding all these sexy, fun layer things on top of it.
Yeah.
It's just like a nice feeling.
Yeah, I could do a scene that was just me being tranced. Like I don't necessarily need to do other stuff, but the other stuff is fun too.
Yeah, I can imagine, just having somebody be in control of you and not necessarily needing to do anything like going forward from there, but just the thought, having the person just be in control of your mind. That would be like a cool DS dynamic just by itself like that.
Yeah. And you can use it for like non-sexual things too. Like my partner installed a trigger in me where like if I say the phrase, I'm a good girl, I just lit up a little bit when I said it. He said it as a trigger that's supposed to make me feel like really accomplished and capable and positive and happy and like ready to face the day, which is nice because like if I'm stressed out, he just texts me. He's like, tell yourself you're a good girl. And I look in the mirror and I say, I'm a good girl. And I get like that a little bit. And it's
that's happening to you right now when you're saying that phrase?
It's really, I get just like giggly and I light up a little bit.
Because that for sure happened.
Yeah.
But that was like the hypnosis thing?
Yeah, I was like, I'm just going to try to say it normally because I'm on a show and no, can't.
No.
It's good. I feel great now.
That's amazing. So have you ever done it when you're in person with him?
Yeah, we've done it a couple times and it's definitely cool. You can do more stuff. Like there's the induction, which is the way that they take you down into trance. There's some inductions that use like touch or like your body. So like he would like lift up my arm and like drop it onto the bed, and like me feeling how loose and relaxed my arm was kind of like took me deeper into trance. So there's cool stuff like that. He did a thing one time where I would experience pain as pleasure, which like I'm already kind of masochistic, but like
I was gonna say
but he was like spanking me and biting me, and I was like, he said my noises were different, like it was like pleasure noises, and I definitely it was a different feeling.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so interested. Is there any resources you can recommend for people that are interested in hypnokink?
Yes.
Like for me, I'm personally asking you.
Yes, you should read this book called Mind Play. It's by this guy Mark Wiseman. It's probably the best book out there that exists on it. It's like all the basics of erotic hypnosis, from like consent negotiations to like all the fun stuff you can do and how to take someone into trance, how to take them out, how to make sure they're safe in there, and some advice also for people who want to get tranced, and lots of other resources are listed in there.
Are there any like safety concerns? I imagine that there are some.
Yeah.
Are there things that you can think of that you need to be careful of before attempting or playing with this?
I mean, you want to be aware of someone's like mental health stuff and like if they have any particular triggers. anything that might make them uncomfortable or have any kind of negative reaction. And also, it's usually a good idea to set up safe words. So, like, as part of the induction, like, you put in a suggestion that, like, if you're ever uncomfortable or, like, feeling weird, you can say yellow or red. And that'll take you out of trance if it's, like, set up properly.
So they have to put that in as a suggestion,
Yeah.
because you, in that trance state, you don't have the tools to say your safe word.
I think it depends, because like I've had times where I was going into trance and then I suddenly felt uncomfortable for some reason and I felt myself come out of it. So it's interesting how your mind does have the ability to do that. But the safe words are good too, because you can also set up a safe word that's like green. So like if something really good happens, you might say green like automatically, and then your partner knows that that's working for you.
Yeah, and to go further with that thing.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because we were saying before with the hypnotizing. Just in general, you can't really do it if you're not into it and don't want to.
Yeah.
So the minute that you started feeling uncomfortable and didn't really want to or wanted to get out, your mind does that for you a bit.
Yeah. It's like it feels like a sudden hit of like adrenaline or something where I can suddenly open my eyes and
brains, eh?
So cool.